Hi everybody, my name is Camille Marchand-Sénécal and I'm a master's student in environmental science at University of Quebec in Montreal. So today I'll talk to you about the development of a Cree agricultural training program in Sassy. So that work has been done as part of my internship with Gabriel and Joanna from Nihtaauchin. I'll talk to you a little bit more about my internship a little bit later. So a little bit about me. I'm a nature and outdoor lover. I have worked for a long time with youths in different fields. Also been canoe camping expedition guide for over 10 years. And as part of my master degree, I also worked for an organism called Farm to School. And I developed a program for the youths where we did various food workshops to value local food. And at the end of the week, we did a local farmers market in which the youth sold their work. My goal is to bring my interest in the outdoors, nature, food, and environment together. That's why I'm very interested in food security issues, especially in the north. I was lucky enough to stay in Chisasibi where I learned about traditional food, among other things. After that stay, I decided to contact Gabriel in Nihtaauchin to say that I was very interested in their projects. And we saw together how I was able to join the team. And here I am for my internship. So a little bit of context. As you know, there was a rapid and drastic nutritional transition from traditional foods, which is really healthy and nutritious, to market food, which is more rich in sugar and fat. One way to help with this is to reduce imported food and add more local food. As we know, our imported food is really costly. There's a problem with keeping the food fresh when it comes from the south, and there's always a risk of food shortage. And the local food, we know there's a better response to the needs of the community, so they can decide what they want to eat, what they want to grow. And it also prioritizes local actors in the environment, and it strengthens the social identity and cohesion. So here are the advantages of local food productions. Actually, there are several other agricultural projects that are already present in northern Canada, and the studies shows that there's positive impacts of food sovereignty and nutrition. It also helps strengthen food security of the communities. It allows to regain greater autonomy in terms of food, and also promotes the reconciliation of the two food systems. So the traditional food system and the commercial food system, more like the market food. This is why Chisasibi decided to create its own training in agricultural to train people to work on the food production projects of the community. So this training will be adapted to the Nordic context and also the EU culture. So the short-term goal from Nihtaauchin is to create a custom training program that will accompany the deployment of the Chisasibi greenhouse project. And for the long-term goal, it will be to create a Cree training program in northern agriculture and greenhouse management that can be delivered across AEUSG. So the agricultural training project will support the food insecurity, also the social economy. It will create jobs in the community, and it will also create community empowerment. So a little bit about the internship. This is basically the work that I do with Nihtaauchin. So I did a lot of research about what's out there in terms of food production projects in the north, also how the education system in Quebec works. And I did a big portrait of all the agricultural training programs in Quebec in both formal and continuing education. And after that, I did an analysis of the programs to develop possible scenarios for the creation of the agricultural training program in Chisasibi. So I was supposed to be in Chisasibi for my internship, but obviously with COVID, I had to do everything online. So with Zoom and Skype and all those things. We did a presentation for the Cree Nation Youth Council, and we talked about a survey. So the survey will be really helpful for us. I will tell you more about it at the end of the presentation. At the end, I'll do a final report for Nihtaauchin, and we will present the work to the community. So there's two types of training in Quebec. So initial education, it's more like the formal education. So it's high school, collegial, university. So it's basically everything you learn before entering the working life. And continuing education would be more for adults that are already working though. So they finished with school, and it could be to get new expertise or a new career, or it could be only for personal interests. Depends on what interests you. So here are some of the agricultural training programs in Quebec in the initial education. So there's a lot out there. So I took few of them. So those are really like interesting programs in terms of vegetable production. So the first one, you have diplomas of vocational studies. So this is at the secondary level. It's around 1 year, and you usually get those kind of programs at the adult education centers. So the first one, horticulture and garden centers, it's around 1 year, and you learn everything in that program. You learn everything that concerns plants, and you have 12 schools in Quebec that are given that program in French, and only school in English. And it's a adult education center, and it's in Châteauguay, so it's near Montreal. You also have the horticultural production program, also around 1 year. And in that program, you learn everything that concerns vegetables, fruits, herbs, flowers, in both greenhouses and fields. So it's more about production. You have 8 schools that are given that program in French, no in English. At the collegial level, so at the collegial, you have like 2 paths. If you choose to do a pre-university program, it's 2 years, and then you go to university in the program that you choose. But if you don't want to go to university, you have the technical program. It's 3 years at CJET. So the first one, really interesting, is the agricultural business management and technology. So in that program, you learn how to run a farm, and it can be a profile in vegetable production, or you have also profiles in animal production. So there's 9 schools that are given that program in French and only 1 in English. It's at McGill University in Montreal. It's at university, but it's on the agricultural campus in the West Island of Montreal. But it's not university. It's really like that program. It's really at the college level. The other program, interesting, is agri-environmental horticulture production technology. So in that program, you learn how to become a technologist that work with plants, vegetables, fruits, and flowers in different kind of jobs. So you have 4 schools that are given that program, but only in French. After that, at university, you have about 30 undergraduate university programs in McGill University, Laval University, and Bishops. So McGill and Bishops are both in English. Laval University is in French in Quebec. McGill in Montreal. Bishop, it's in Lennoxville, so it's in Estrie, near Sherbrooke. And Bishop, I think it's the first year that they are offering programs in agriculture, so it's new. But McGill and Laval have various programs since a long time. So here are some relevant continuing education programs. So usually the continuing education programs are shorter, so they are around 1 year or less. Can be offered part-time, or full-time, depends. And with COVID, there are many that are offered online. Some of them are available all the time online, but since COVID, all of them are online. So it's really nice to get access to different kind of programs. Attestation of collegial studies, it's be given by the CEGEP usually, and it's around 1 year. Attestation of vocational specialization, it's at the secondary level. So usually you need a DVS in horticulture and garden center, or the other one in the horticultural production. Some of them are prerequisite. It's just you need to have a business plan and have some experiences. Those programs are really like a specialization in something that you already know. There's also certificate of professional specialization, and it's much shorter. You also need a diploma, or some of experiences are also enough, depends. So about the popular education and workshops. So you have a workshop that target a particular aspect of vegetable production, like learning how to do seedlings or how to maintain culture, let's say. In general, these are workshops for general public to make gardening accessible. So there's no credit attached to that kind of a program workshops. Nihtaauchin actually offers several workshops to the community already. Also, especially in times of COVID, there's a huge amount of online webinars, training, workshops, and conferences at the moment. So internet is full of resources at the moment. You also have on-farm trainings or internships on the farms. So the trainings are made for farmers who want to improve their practice, or it can be also for people who want to learn more about gardening, or people who want to start their own agricultural project. So you have few of the farms that offers those programs. At the moment, usually with COVID, it's all online. A lot of them have suspended their activities on the farm. But it's really interesting because it can be like only like one session, or it can be something that you follow intensively. It can be like every week. It depends on the farm and the program, but there's a lot of variety. Also, you have training and consultant services. So usually it's tailor-made training, and it can be followed intensively or every week, let's say, depending on the organization. So you have a lot of different organism or training center that are offering that kind of services. A lot of CEGEP and vocational training center that are offering either consulting service or just workshops, or just like one course that you want to follow. And usually, since it's continuing education, it's more adapted to what a particular aspect of what you want. So here are the possible options. So following the analysis of the possible scenarios, that would be there would be like 3 major categories that could be done in terms of the program. So here are the choices, and you can think about which one would be the more suitable for you. So the first category is at secondary level. So at secondary level, you can get a vocational programs. You can get a diploma of vocational studies. So it's like the 2 programs that I talked to you about in horticultural and garden centers and horticultural production. So it's around 1 year. And the prerequisite for those programs, it's usually secondary 3. With those programs, if you already have experiences, you can follow a path of recognition of prior learning and then get the diploma. So with that path, you can, if you already have all the competences, you can get the diploma. But if you don't have all the competences with that path, you can decide to just take few courses and then get the diploma. So those kinds of programs can be delivered in EUHG in the short term and long term. So at the moment, for the diploma of vocational studies, there's the 2 that I showed you before, horticultural and garden centers, and the other one is horticultural production. And at the moment, there's no attestation of vocational studies existing about farming or agriculture, but it could be possible to create one. and the attestation, it's less than 1 year. So you can do that part-time, but if you do that full-time, it's less than 1 year, so it could be interesting. Category 2, the college level. So like I said, there's 2 kinds of programs at the college, at the CEGEP. So you have pre-university programs, so you do that kind of program and then you go to the university. If you do a technical program, it's to get a job. You don't go to university. Well, you can go to university after that, but the goal is to get for training and then get a job. The technical program, like we said, it's 3 years. You get a ministerial diploma with that. You need, as a prerequisite, you need a secondary school diploma, or it can be also vocational studies diploma or an equivalent. So it depends of the program. So those kinds of programs cannot be delivered in EUHG in the short term, but can be developed in the long term. And the last category would be the popular education. So it's usually custom tailored to meet local needs. Those programs do not lead to recognize ministerial diploma, but it can count towards work experiences. And then it can be a prerequisite for other programs. Or you can also follow a path of recognition of prior learning and then get a diploma, like we said before. It's really flexible, so it can be intensive, it can be part-time, it can be during evening, so it depends. We can also develop workplace training programs, so use the competences to get a diploma. It's not a training, but like you learn while you work, and then you can get a diploma with a title, so it can be interesting too. None of the existing programs that I talked to you before are adapted to the EU culture and the Nordic context. So some have courses that are not necessary or that are not adapted. And also there's a lack of competences about traditional food, for example. The next steps for the work would be to conduct the online survey with youth. The survey will help us to identify training preferences and recommendations for the development of a future program. After that, we want to consult the elders about CRE knowledge components. We will finalize report by January 2021 and present the findings. And then we will begin the design of the custom training program for the SSTB Greenhouse project in 2021 as well. We have developed a survey because it's really important for us to have your opinion on the creation of the future training program in agriculture. So we want to know how can we design a program in a way that respects and integrates agriculture and knowledge. With the survey, it's confidential, so you will have a few questions about how old are you, where you live, all those things. It's just for us to get a profile. Also, you will get a few questions about food security, about what you know about it, and also a few questions, food insecurity. After you have a few questions about the training program. This is really helpful for us, so we could know what are your preferences in terms of what you would want to follow as a program. If you want to move from your community and then get to university, let's say, or you want to stay in your community and have a program at home or internet, or so you have different kinds of questions, but it will help us to know your preferences. After that, we have few questions about other work that we do in Nihtaauchin. So it's just for us to know if you are interested in other subjects. The survey will definitely help us to create the new program. We will take every response in consideration. Thank you for listening. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to contact us. So you have the email in the bottom here. Thank you, Miigwech.